Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to do Chapter 5, Lesson 4, Division of Decimals by Whole Numbers. The essential question is, how can you divide, How can you divide decimals by whole numbers? So let's unlock the problem. In a swimming relay, each swimmer swims an equal part of the total distance. So right away it says equal part of a total. So we automatically know that we're going to be dividing because dividing is finding parts of a whole or of a total. Brianne and 3 other swimmers won a relay in 5.68 minutes. What's the average time each relay team member swam? So again, we're looking for one team member because it asks for each person. So we need to look here. How many swimmers are part of the team? So we have Brianna and 3 others. So that's 4 swimmers. So you want to make sure to really pay attention to the problem. Okay, so then we're going to be dividing by 4. We're going to divide 5.68 divided by 4 because that's 4 swimmers. This is their total time. We need to figure out how many for each one. Okay, so that is what we're trying to figure out. So you can use the place value model. You can use the blocks if you want to go ahead and do that, where you would divide, you would draw out 4 circles, and then you would model out 5 ones, 6/10ths, and 8/100ths. That would take a long time, but if you prefer that way, you can do it that way. The other way you can do it is to draw it out. So you would simply draw it out, not draw it out, but write it out this way, where you're putting the number that you're dividing into this little house by the divisor 4 to get your quotient, which would be your answer up here. So remember, you start by dividing the ones. So we're going to divide 5 into 4. So we're dividing 5 by 4 and we get 1. So we put our 1 here above the little house. That's showing that 5 divided by 4 is equal to 4. So we put the 4 here because that's the closest to 5 without going over. Then we're going to subtract and see what we have left over. So if we subtract 5 ones minus 4 ones, I'm going to get 1 1. Check. Can 1 1 be shared among 4 equal groups without regrouping? No. So then now we're going to divide again, but now we're going to divide this 6. So now we're going to divide 6 divided by 4. So that's what we're doing right here. This is our step 2. So how many times can 6 go into 4? So we're dividing 6/10ths by 4. So 6/10ths goes into, so then we need to bring this down. So we need to bring down, and remember this is divide, multiply, subtract, bring down. So now we're going to multiply 4 times a number to get the tenths. So if I multiply 4 by 4, I know that I'm going to get 16. So I'm multiplying 4 times 4 to get 16. Then I have a 0. So I subtract 16 tenths minus 16 tenths, and I get 0 tenths. So 0 tenths cannot be shared among 4 groups, so I know that I did that right. So now you want to make sure too, in a multiple or division problem, you just bring the decimal straight up. So it doesn't tell you to do that here, but that's what you need to do. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and go into the hundredths. We did the tenths. Now we're going to go into the hundredths. So we're multiplying 4 into 8. So we're actually dividing 8 hundredths by 4. So let's go ahead and finish this part right here. 0, we bring down the 8. That's the bring down part. And then now we are dividing. This was here from before. This is just bringing this down from earlier. How many times can 8 be divided by 4? We're going to multiply 4 times 2 to get 8 hundredths. So 4 times 2 equals 8 hundredths. We get a 0 hundredths, cannot be shared. Okay, and then it says place the decimal in the quotient to separate the ones and the tenths. So in order to do that, you just bring it straight up again, like I said. So each girl runs an average of 1.42 minutes. Again, I want to point out to you guys that this decimal just goes straight up for this. All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next problem. Okay, this also says another way you can do this is to divide as you would with whole numbers, and that's actually what we just did. But then it says to use an estimate. You always want to make sure it's right around where the answer would be. But again, I suggest just dividing it like normal. So, and then just putting the decimal up straight. So again, putting the decimal right up there. So we're going to start with 47. Can 47 go into 40? No, it cannot. So I'm going to put a 0 here. Now I'm going to be looking at my 408. So how many times can 408 go into 47? I think probably about 9 times, because maybe 8 or 9 times, I'm not sure. I'm going to try 8. So you kind of do have to estimate 32 plus 5 is 37. Okay, so let's see if that works. 376. So then we're going to subtract 376 from that. Get 2. Add 10. 32 to bring down the 9. So it's about 7 because it's less than that. So let's see how much 47 times 7 is. 32. So it actually equals that. So the answer is 87 cents. Okay. So you don't have to use an estimate. I think it's kind of confusing. You do want to make sure that, yes, if you're dividing $40 by 47, it's probably going to be a little bit less than 1. Okay, so you don't need to do that part. Okay, so then we're going to try this. Use multiplication to check your work. Again, we're just going to do this using the same divide, multiply, subtract, check, bring down, dumb monkeys sell checkered bananas to solve. So again, the only difference using division is that, or I'm sorry, using a decimal is you just bring the decimal straight up. Okay, so let's do one more together and then you can do the rest. So 23 is going to go into 79. How many times? Probably about 3 times. So I'm going to figure out right now what 23 times 3 is. You're definitely going to need to use, to show your work for these. So make sure to grab a piece of paper. Okay, so then I'm going to bring down my 3. It's probably about 4 times, so 23 times 4, 92. 11. Right there. And bring down the 5. Let's see, 23 times 5. Let's see if that's small. If it's bigger than that. Or I mean, if it's too high. And then that's going to be, oh, perfect. So it's 5. So 5. So the answer is 345. So to check, you're going to multiply 23 times 3.45. So I'm just multiplying 12, 10, place my 0, 10, 9, 6. Hopefully this works out. And it does. Okay, now what you're going to do is you are going to do the share and show. Number 1 and number 2. Again, look at this. Write the quotient with a decimal point placed correctly. You have to make sure to place it correctly, otherwise it's the wrong number. Okay, so share and show 1 and 2. And also let's go to the next page. Let's go to page 223. On page 223 for share and show, I want you to go ahead and do problems 3, 4, and 5. Okay, once you do that, you can go ahead and go to the PMT. All right, I hope you guys remember how to divide numbers this way. And again, this is just put your decimal point in the right spot of your problem. Remember, it just goes straight up. Okay, thank you guys. Bye.